Greetings, fellow humans. I'm MartianBuu, and today I have for you a revert deck for every class. So today we got the Year of the Griffin nerf reverts along with the Year of the Wolf core set changes. And we're going to have a unique week-long meta where we have those changes and we don't yet have the new expansion. So these are going to be decks to play with in the interim. At the time of this recording, the cards are not changed yet, so I'll tell you what the changes are as we go along. These decks are designed to play with some newly changed cards and may or may not be competitive. So I do think some of them are going to be pretty competitive, so hopefully whatever type of gamer you are, there's something fun for you here. First up, we have Frosty K. So the relevant change for this deck is Ice Revenant. Ice Revenant was changed in preparation for the Death Knight class because they thought that with all the frost spells it was getting, it would scale out of hand too quickly. But they are going to change it back. It's going to be +2/+2 for every frost spell that you play. I do think that with Glacial Advance getting nerfed, it used to discount by 2, now it only discounts by 1. I think it's going to be a lot harder to make this absurd, but when this type of deck was really strong in Standard, it was pretty playable in Wild as well. So it could be that with the Ice Revenant revert, we could do something at least fun with Death Knight. And next up we have Reno Demon Hunter. So the relevant change here is Carry a Fellsoul. Originally, every 7 on this card was a 6, so everything was upped by 1. It's going back down to 6 with the revert, and the reason this is strong is because it's a 6 mana Xylag with bigger stats. So it gives you 2 Xylags, and it gives you a cheaper, stronger Xylag. The problem with that in Wild is Demon Hunter is really only good with an Outcast build in Wild right now, so it's kind of hard to pair something with this combo. It doesn't work in Outcast Demon Hunter. It has a lot of other demons. For this combo to work, it has to only be Xylag. So I came up with something that I thought was fun. You can tell I think it's fun because it's got Queen Ashara in here, and I just think that she's a riot. Predation is the Naga synergy, as well as Lady Sneno. But then it's just an amalgam of good stuff Demon Hunter cards. I feel like this ought to be at least slightly playable if you're looking to try out the new Carry a Fellsoul Xylag revert. Next up, we have Aggro Druid. The relevant change here is Razormane Battleguard, which used to have 1 more health. So Razormane Battleguard lets you cheat out taunts early. Having additional bodies early on is good for an aggro strategy. One of the best aggro cards in Wild is Embiggen. So gives all minions in your deck +2/+2 for free, but makes them cost 1 more. So you can get double the effect out of Encumbered Pack Mule and Serenite Chain Gang with Embiggen, and then discount them with Razormane Battleguard. There are a few other taunts in here and some mild nature synergy. How strong is this? Probably not that great. I would assume that decks like Pirate Rogue and even Shaman are just way more efficient at getting early board than this, but I did want to feature a new Druid deck, and this is the only thing it got. Next up, we have Reno Hero Power Mage. The relevant change being Magister Dawngrasp is getting the Arcane Burst Hero Power honorable kill damage increased by 1. The rest of this is just Reno/Hero Power good stuff. I do have ETC in here to give a second copy of Reckless Apprentice, which is like the best card in the deck. And we got your second copy of Ice Block, and then in a pinch you can use Frost Nova to stall the board. To draw, you can use Evocation and Finley to get a bunch of cards, but otherwise it's just normal hero power stuff as well as the Highlander synergy cards. Here we have probably one of the better ones. It's Questline Hunter. So the questline was not reverted, but Dragonbane Shot was. So Dragonbane Shot was nerfed to 3 mana. It's going to go back to 2 mana. Questline Hunter was a relevant deck in Wild before this change. The questline itself has been nerfed since then, so hard to say if this alone is enough to get it back, but even playing Questline Hunter as it is now, it's not that bad. You can win games with Questline Hunter, so having this nice boost might actually make a difference. Next up, we have Odd Paladin, and this is one of the ones that I'm a little bit more confident on. Paladin is actually getting Conviction back to 1 mana, which I'm worried about generally, but we'll see how it goes. Basically, Night of Anointment, Christology, and 1 mana Conviction is nuts. You just, as long as you have some board presence leading up into that, and you've dealt some chip damage, easiest 2 mana, 12 damage of your life. So that goes really well in Odd Paladin, obviously, that's pretty cheap. Odd Paladin is also getting Level Up back. So this used to cost 5 mana, and it was nerfed for Standard Odd Paladin, and is going back to 5 mana here. A core set change is Conviction is actually going to 3 mana, and I think this is kind of interesting because Odd Paladin tends to struggle when it falls behind on board. You have to get on board early and stay on board the whole game, and there's not a lot of comeback mechanism around. So Consecration is pretty good against totems, for example, but this gives you an option alongside Lord Barov and Animated Broomstick to be able to come back on board against decks like that. This could easily be not good in this deck. This and Barov are the only things in this deck that I'm a little sus on. I think the rest of it is really solid. Barov, I think, is worth it considering you want to run Animated Broomstick anyway, and you do really need to have at least something to be able to come back on board with. But if the Consecration doesn't work out, you could put in Divine Favor instead, which is probably what I'll do within the first hour of playing this. Next up, we have Light Glare Priest. Calling it that because it's somewhat reminiscent of Dark Glare, the Giants deck from a while back. The idea here is Crimson Clergy is getting Overheal, draw a card. So 1 mana, 1/3, Overheal, draw a card. Overheal is if you heal something beyond its maximum health, you do whatever the Overheal effect was. So we run Crimson Clergy and Radiant Elemental and a billion heal cards. Turbo through the deck really fast. If you get out a couple of Clergies, then your Circle of Healing and Gift of the Naru stonks go up. Once you've played a million spells for free because you have a Radiant Elemental out, you can play Arcane Giant and Grave Horror for 0. Ideally on 3 or 4, you set up your Radiant Elemental draw engine, get your discounts on your Giants, and then drop them together with Lotheb on 5 or 4 with the coin. How good is this? I don't know. I hope it's not that good, but we'll see. And now we have Odd Rogue. So I've taken a bit of a liberty here because I wanted to try out more new cards. Faceless Corruptor is probably not good enough, but it is getting its 1 attack back, so it's getting unnerfed. It was a really solid card in odd decks at the time, and I think if it's going to be good in any of these decks, it's going to be Odd Rogue. So I wanted to try that out. Cold Blood is the real buff to this deck, so it's going back to costing 1, and I think Odd Rogue specifically is worth bringing up when it comes to Cold Blood because Cold Blood is not a pirate, so I don't think you run it in Pirate Rogue. It already has the maximum amount of non-pirate cards to be able to get a consistent Swordfish, and I don't think Cold Blood makes the cut over any of those. We'll have to see though, it is a pretty strong card. But Odd Rogue doesn't run Swordfish, so it's a little bit stronger here for burst. As well as Evil Miscreant is getting its 1 health back, and having a 3 mana 1/5 that you want to play anyway is a nice body to protect your 4 damage bonus so that you can use it over the course of multiple turns, as well as guaranteeing that you'll have something out to buff. All right, this is a wacky one. We have Elemental Quest Shaman, aka Ogre Shaman. The relevant buff here is Granite Forgeborn. So this originally had 5 health. It's getting its extra health back. The health is not why you run this card, so I don't imagine this will be any more playable than it was before. But we also got a slightly relevant buff with Menacing Nimbus is going to get +1 health. So this is going to be a much more solid play to just jam out on 2. Helps you advance your Corrupt the Waters questline. The game plan here is to double your battle cries with this and then do a bunch of damage once you've discounted your Blaze Caller, Cumulo Maximus, and Calamos with your various elemental discounts and make your opponent's face explode. This is definitely the type of deck that you should only play if it sounds fun to you. Next up, we have Patron Warrior. So Warrior is getting all of its coolest stuff back. Warsong Commander is going back to its original text, so 3 or less attack, gain charge. If you are a Grim Patron fan, you can do the original Warsong Commander Grim Patron combo. And even more exciting than that for me is the Fiery War Axe Revert. So this is currently a 3 mana card. It is going back to 2 mana. The idea with this deck is just like you used to, you want to set up a Warsong Commander Grim Patron swing turn. It could be that To the Front is worth it in here if you're going to run it this way, but this really is just supposed to be a throwback deck. I don't expect it to perform that well. I think that Warsong Commander might be playable in Wild and Rage Warrior, but it's not going to include Grim Patron. It's just way too expensive now. Next up, we have the Demonseed. So the Demonseed is being unbanned, but it is also getting nerfed at the same time. If you're wondering why there's a Supreme Archaeology in my Demonseed deck, it's because at the time of this recording, Demonseed hasn't actually been unbanned. By the time you get to see it, it will be unbanned. Currently, the quest line is take 8 damage on your turns on all 3 stages. When Wild had this before, it was take 6, take 7, take 8. And when we have it back now, it's going to be take 10, take 10, take 10. So that is way worse than before. And on top of that, Both the Tempo Giants version and the Fatigue OTK version have had all of their tools absolutely gutted. So quest is worse, the stuff that goes with the quest is worse, but we're going to try and make it work anyway. So the idea is Bran alongside Crystallizer does a lot of damage to yourself without actually doing any damage to yourself, because as it deals 5, you also gain the 5 armor. If you play Bran and 2 of these together, then that's 20 damage. You haven't actually taken any damage. 2 entire stages of the quest line. On top of that, we do have some tempo, so Goldshire Knoll is going back to 10 mana. Molten Giant is pretty easy to discount with a deck like this. And an Etheron, so we're going to be drawing a lot of cards. Our hand's always going to be full. This will be pretty cheap. So we do have some initiative, but also we're going to try to fatigue OTK a little bit differently. So we have Wicked Shipment, which we can shuffle back in a few times, then play alongside Tamsin, and then play a bunch of Impending Catastrophes all in the same turn to draw us well into fatigue once we've played the quest reward. Another cute thing is Hellfire's going down to 3 mana, so this is a much better clear at 3, as well as damaging you a little bit for the quest. So will this actually be good enough? I'm not sure, but it seems pretty decent. 3 mana, deal 3 to all minions. You know, that's the time you want to do 3 damage. It clears a lot of things like Fellwing, Anchored Totem, and Ship's Cannon. So this could be really good. All right, so that was a revert deck for every class. I hope you found some inspiration, whether you want to actually try one of these lists or you want to brew something on your own. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the reverts. If any of these decks got you excited to try something, remember to like and subscribe for more Martian videos. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching.